A YouTube channel called Sean Chandler Talks About, and it is a YouTube channel talking about of all else movies, and I kind of saw myself in the guy because as you know from my YouTube channel, I love movies probably more than anything. So he put out his latest video was his entire Blu-ray collection for the beginning of 2019. I'm going to do the same thing, and then I realized I have way too many. I have like 200 something DVDs and Blu-rays in total, so I try to take as many of them as possible. So I have my entire first shelf over on the desk next to me just out of frame, but even then I still have like 3 or 4 other shelves to get through, and I don't have a mobile phone, so I can't just stand there and grab them off the shelf. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop filming, pause, put them back, and this video is going to be a while. I was going to do them alphabetical order, but then as soon as I put them on the desk, they all kind of got shuffled around. So I'm just going to do it at random, I guess. I have them alphabetical on my shelf, but not on the desk. So I'm going to grab from the first stack. So for the most part, they'll be alphabetical order, but they may shuffle around. First one, we have The Fifth Wave, a movie that not a lot of people saw. And I really enjoyed. I thought it was a nice little alien invasion movie. And from what I understand, there's like at least 3 books. There may be more, but it's at least 3. And I really wish this had done well, because I kind of want to see how the story ended. I mean, it ended fine in the movie. It wasn't like this huge cliffhanger or anything, but I still kind of want to see that story continue. And then a Tim Burton movie. You're going to see a lot of Tim Burton in this video, because I'm a huge Tim Burton fan. That is the movie 9. And it's not the size of a Blu-ray, even though it is Blu-ray, because I got this at Blockbuster when they were going out of business. I got like $50 worth of Blu-rays there. So you'll see a couple of them that are like this, because they're Blockbuster rentals that I bought now. But yeah, this is a fun movie. It's way too short, though. It's like, what, an hour? It's like an hour long. So, I don't know. It's like just a little bit over an hour. It's kind of short, but it's a good little apocalypse thriller. It's a very good Tim Burton movie. Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey. The only version of the movie I own, even though I do love the Muppets one, but I don't have a lot of Muppet movies. As you'll see later, I need to go get more of them. But I only own Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. But yeah, I actually really like this movie. A lot of people don't, and I get why. I get that it's because it's Jim Carrey, but I thought the motion capture is pretty good. I don't know why they didn't just make it live action, honestly, because it looks a little bit too close to live action that it should have just been live action in the first place. But I thought it was enjoyable. I mean, I can fast forward the part where for some reason he's like really tiny and they chase him around, and that's kind of out of nowhere. So I always end up just clicking the fast forward button that happens. For the most part, I thought it was a pretty good adaptation of the story. And speaking of Christmas movies, adaptation of the story, A Christmas Story. Obviously, this is a classic that everyone watches every year. One of the most quotable movies ever. Love it. Watch it every year. We have one of the best superhero movies of all time, The Avengers. I don't really say anything more about this movie because most of you probably already know that it's an amazing movie. And then, of course, following those up, Age of Ultron. I'm in the camp that likes this movie. I found people either think this movie is okay or they absolutely hate it. I've never met anybody that actually really likes this movie. I'm one of the people that really likes this movie. I just thought it was a really fun movie. I love James Spader as Ultron. He was a perfect choice. He was just so chilling. And then, we get Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver introduced, and Scarlet Witch is, one of my favorite Marvel characters now because of this movie. And obviously, the big one, the one that just the one everyone's been talking about for almost a year now because of just how amazing this movie was. Avengers Infinity War. I do not have a 4K Blu-ray player. The reason it is a 4K is because I wanted to get this on my birthday, which was about 2 months ago, and I went and they were sold out. My goal was to get all the Marvel movies that I did not have yet. And at the time it was Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, this one, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. And yeah, I slacked off on buying them for months and months and months, and I ended up only getting Thor and Black Panther because they didn't have Ant-Man and the Wasp or this one. So I ended up getting this one just a few weeks after my birthday. But they were still sold out of the regular Blu-ray, and I figured, okay, I'm tired of waiting. And at this point, I'll just get the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray, because it comes with regular Blu-ray anyway. So, but it is a nice case. But yeah, it is the only 4K Blu-ray I own. And then, speaking of Ant-Man, good movie. a lot funnier than I thought it was going to. This is one of the movies where I thought Marvel has lost it. This is going to be the movie that kills Marvel. We're getting back to like the stupid ideas movies, but it's ended up being really, really funny. So enjoyed it. And then, of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I'd argue is even better. A little too much comedy. I think there needed to be a little bit more seriousness, needed to be grounded a little bit more serious, but yeah, I still thought it was a really good movie. Good little heist action team-up movie, what have you. Like I said, most of the parts there's not quick order. I just realized I skipped like 3 or 4 of these that I should have put these between Avengers. Yeah, I just realized these are not in alphabetical order anymore because, like I said, they all got kind of dumped. I'm just going to grab them from the pile and keep going. Amazing Spider-Man. Again, this is one of those movies where people either think it's okay or they hate it. I've never met anyone who loves it. I actually quite like it. I kind of liked Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in this movie, and it was cool seeing the Lizard, because originally he was going to be the villain when they were going to make Spider-Man 4, and that obviously never happened because Spider-Man 3 was a disaster. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. And then Amazing Spider-Man 2, I get why people don't like this movie. It does have a lot of the same problems that Spider-Man 3 had, with way too many characters, way too many plot lines. I still thought it was a fun movie. And part of me is sad that this didn't continue because we didn't get the Sinister Six movie that they promised us. And that would have been really cool to see Sinister Six on screen in live action form. We kind of got Sinister Six in Spider-Verse, which recently just came out to theaters. That's probably the closest we're ever going to get for now because Marvel rebooted it with Spider-Man Homecoming, which I'll get to pretty soon. Aladdin. Now, obviously this is a very classic Disney Renaissance movie. I'm mildly excited for the live-action remake, honestly. I like most of the Disney live-action remakes. In fact, the only one I don't like is Pete's Dragon. That was the only live-action remake that didn't do anything for me, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all the other ones, so I'm kind of excited to see a new take on Aladdin. Will Smith is the genie. I am skeptical about, but then I'm thinking, well, I mean, he got his start in comedy. Now we think of Will Smith as an action star because of, Men in Black and Suicide Squad and all the other movies. But when you think about it, his first career was as a rapper and a sitcom star, so that might harken back to that. And then this movie was made in the 90s, so in fact, I'm surprised it didn't get Will Smith the first time around for the 90s version of the movie. So I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic about the live-action Aladdin when that comes out in just a couple of months. The remake, the 2014 remake of Annie, I do not own the original, and I probably should, but the original is way too long. It's like 3 hours, but I enjoyed this movie. I was not a fan of how they kind of overly auto-tuned some of the songs, but I did enjoy kind of the, modern sound, because, I mean, let's be honest, the original Annie, it's set in the Depression, and it's very much a product of that era, and they sort of set this one in a modern day, and I thought, for a modern day setting, it worked. I was not a fan of Cameron Diaz in this movie. I don't know why she was in this. I didn't like her in this movie. She's good in other stuff, just not this. This is a Disney Channel movie, one of the few Disney Channel movies I like. The Avengers Babysitting remake. The plot's a little convoluted, especially for a kids movie. Like, I'm a 21-year-old, and I still have a hard time following some of the plot. There's way too much going on in this movie, but as a cute little kids TV movie, it works. It's surprising. I mean, I got a few laughs out of it. I thought it was kind of a fun, harmless little movie. And then another one, Cinderella Story, and if she looks familiar, it's because she's also in this. Cinderella Story. This is the only one, actually no, I've seen the Hilary Duff one as well, but I don't know that one. But I thought as kind of, again, a direct-to-video, this is pretty good. I do think Sophia Carson is a pretty good up-and-coming actress. I'm surprised she's not in anything big yet. All her stuff has been TV movies and TV shows. I'm surprised she hasn't gotten a big theatrical movie. She's very good. She's talent. She's good at dancing, good at singing, good at acting. She's really good. I'm surprised that she hasn't got anything outside of TV and direct-to-video realm yet. Oh, wait. I'm going right to C. I'm skipped over the B's. Again, these are not really in order. It's just kind of grabbing it from the shelf. So I'm going to probably have a mixture of the B's and the C's here. Big Fat Liar. One of the few late 90s / early 2000s comedies that still holds up for me. Actually, even watching it again, I'm like, yeah, this is still pretty funny. I really enjoy this movie. Still holds up. Underrated Disney movie, Bolt. Super underrated. I mean, it was kind of big when it came out, but now people don't really talk about it that much. You talk about it, people are like, oh yeah, that came out. I remember thinking about it. They don't talk about it much. So it's quite sad. It's it's very good. Big Hero 6. People are in the camp that they either like Frozen or they like this one. I prefer this one. I prefer Big Hero 6 out of over Frozen. After just watched this one's still really good. Technically, it's a Marvel movie, not in the MCU. Yeah, this is a fantastic movie. Has a lot of heart to it. Has a lot of good humor. Really good story. Lots of good emotion. The villain was a little predictable. I did kind of see that coming. It's like all the Disney movies now, all the animated Disney movies now have to have like this big surprise villain. It's not a surprise anymore. So, but Big Hero 6 is really good movie. This movie recently was announced that it has been nominated for Best Picture, which kind of surprised me. But as of today, it's as of yesterday, it's the first superhero movie to be nominated for Best Picture. It's probably not going to win, but at least it was nominated. I mean, this one and then Suicide Squad got nominated a couple years ago for Best Makeup. So, and it actually won for Best Makeup, if I recall correctly, which surprised everybody, including me. But hey, it won. Suicide Squad won an Oscar, huh? Because nobody likes that movie except me. Yeah, Black Panther. People are going to hate me for saying this. As far as superhero movies go, it was just okay. I still enjoy it. I still like the action sequences. I still think Black Panther's a cool character, but plot-wise, it was okay. People are going to hate me for saying that because they act like this movie is the best thing ever, but it was okay. My personal favorite non-Avengers movies, I should say, non-Avengers Marvel movies, my personal favorite origin story in the MCU is Captain America: The First Avenger. I had to eat crow when I watched this because when it came out, I thought, okay, this is a generic World War II movie that just happens to be a superhero movie. That's not going to work. And it was amazing. And the one that I think is even better, The Winter Soldier. Man, this movie has it all. This is not a superhero movie. This is a political thriller that just happens to be in a superhero-centered universe. But I think calling it a superhero movie is technically incorrect. Fantastic film. And then this other movie, Civil War, Captain America Civil War, obviously. This gives us the first introduction of Spider-Man in the MCU. And, there's like at least 10 main characters in this movie. And it still worked. And there's still a lot of really good commentary from both sides of the argument. It's not just biased to one side. You do see both sides of where they're coming from. I am on Team Cap. I am not in Team Iron Man camp, but if you are, then that's on you. Some other ones over here. The animated version of Beauty and the Beast. And then, of course, the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast plays at the same time, just so I can kind of compare. Plot-wise, I think this one is done better. It is done better visually. I think this is just kind of like a showstopper musical, because it does focus a lot on the visuals. But I do think a lot of the plot holes from this movie got fixed. So I do prefer this version. However, I do think that some of the acting is a lot better in this movie. I don't think Emma Watson was the right choice for Belle. I think they should have gotten someone else. I think they were just writing the coattails of, okay, well, Harry Potter is done. This is a remake of a movie in the 90s. It came out kind of around the same time as Harry Potter. How can we get as much 90s nostalgia from 90s kids as possible? And it kind of was kind of a weird mesh. But I do think that some of the new songs in this movie were really good. I did think Dan Stevens as the Beast was just fantastic. Batman vs. Superman. People are going to hate me for saying this, but I really liked this movie. And I can see you all clicking out of the video now and leaving hate comments. Go ahead. I do prefer the Ultimate Cut, as does everyone else. But, I mean, the name of the movie is Batman versus Superman. And that's what we got. We got, 2 or 3 hours of them fighting each other, even if the plot was kind of all over the place. But it's called Batman versus Superman. It's going to be a live-action Saturday morning cartoon, which is what most of the DC movies are. So you can't really complain on that aspect about it. Speaking of Batman, I should have shown these first, looking back, but Batman 4-film anthology, or I should say 3 films, because in my mind, Batman and Robin does not exist. I think it's Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever. And for some people, it's just Batman and Batman Returns. But the reason I include Batman Forever is because it's fun, stupid. There's still a little. Tim Burton was not the director of this one, but of Batman Forever, but he did produce it. So you can still see he has a little bit of influence over this one. This one he had no influence at all, and man, it really shows. Batman and Robin is absolute garbage. Obviously, you know, this is one of the best comic book movies ever made. This one, slightly darker, but I still enjoy it. And the Batman Forever is kind of, you know, fun, kind of cheesy. It kind of reminds me of, it's like a 90s version of Suicide Squad, the way it's directed. Kind of reminds me of that one. This one I've only watched once. This is technically my sister's movie. I only watched it once just because I was kind of curious about it. It's Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. I have no idea what's going on in this movie because I never watched Batman Beyond. It has something to do with, like, the Joker is dead, but he comes back. I don't even remember. And I know that Mark Hamill's in it. Mark Hamill's my favorite Joker of any of them. And I only watched it because it has Mark Hamill Joker for like 20 minutes, maybe, not even that. I don't even remember anything about this movie. I only watched it once and I didn't really care for that much because I didn't watch the show. Corpse Bride. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of Tim Burton in this list. Really good movie. It's kind of an interesting, kind of quirky idea. What if a human married a zombie by accident? Where did that come from? Well, that's how Tim Burton's mind works. And yeah, it's a really good, fantastic movie. I watch it every year around Halloween. Cowboys and Aliens. I did that already. I did that already around Halloween. Cowboys and Aliens. Weirdest title for a movie ever. You know, a 6-year-old came up with the title. But yeah, this is actually the same director of Iron Man. I'm not sure how much buzz this movie got when it came out, but it's really good because it actually mixes Western and sci-fi pretty well. It's pretty good, and it's got Harrison Ford and Daniel Craig. It's a fantastic movie, and I don't think it got a lot of buzz when it came out. I don't remember getting a lot of buzz when it came out, actually, but yeah, personally, one of my, not favorites, but I think it's really good. The Dark Knight trilogy, special editions of Blu-ray. You know, Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. I watch these every couple of years just because they're 3 hours apiece. I don't have the patience to sit through a, 9-hour, 12-hour marathon, but I watch them every couple of years. They're good. I kind of want to watch these again, but I think I'm going to wait until the summer because Batman 1989 is celebrating the 30th anniversary this year, so I think it would be a good excuse to watch all of the Batman movies except for Batman and Robin again. That concludes the... Oh, no, I've got more C's over here. I was going to say, that's in the B's and the C's, but no, I've got more C's over here. These, I think, held up together pretty well. So these will be in alphabetical order, because these actually managed to not fall out of the pile. By the way, some of these are going to be kind of guilty pleasure movies that I bought because they were part of my childhood. Case in point in this one. Cats and Dogs and Cats and Dogs 2. Yes, they're stupid talking animal movies. I loved them when I was a kid. I still kind of find them a little bit endearing and funny. Another Tim Burton movie, Coraline. This freaked every kid out that I knew when this movie came out 10 years ago. It didn't freak me out. I thought it was just kind of a cute, creepy movie because I was not one of those kids that was scared by every movie. But I really thought it was a kind of a creepy little Halloween movie, and I watched it every year on Halloween. Coco. My goodness. Not only one of the best animated movies ever, one of the best movies ever. Like, period. Such a good movie. If you have not seen it, rent it. It is so fantastic. Visually, storytelling. If this movie does not make you cry, you are dead inside. Prepare to cry. You will cry more than you cried it up. Cloverfield, the biggest mystery when this movie came out, because when the trailer for this came out, there wasn't even a title. It was just the release date. And yeah, this is regarding... Okay, it's a little bit... It is, I will say, as good as movies, it is riding the coattails of movies like Blair Witch. But it is still very unique. It's like a found footage Godzilla movie. And by far the best part of this movie is T.J. Miller's narration throughout the entire film. He is just hilarious. He very much on sets counteracts some of the terror that goes on during this movie. And then, of course, you have the... Not sequel. I'm not sure what this is. It's neither a sequel or a prequel. Or it's in the same universe. It has a connection. I'm not sure where this connects. But 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's completely different from the first Cloverfield. But yeah, I mean, John Goodman finally breaks out of the playing the lovable, huggable, fat, nice guy trope that he is in pretty much every movie he's done. That I've seen at least. And he's the villain in this. He is so good. He is so scary in this movie. Like, whoa, okay, you're not nice and you're not John Goodman anymore. You're John Badman. he's so good in this movie. So creepy. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, a movie that I think got snubbed at the Oscars out of a nomination. I personally think this is actually hilarious. I'm not a fan of the second one, which is why I don't own it, but I really enjoyed the first one. And it's the same people that did the Lego movies and the recent Spider-Verse movie. So it's fantastic. It's super hilarious. And it's got a really good message to it as well. It's food for thought. But one of the greatest movies ever, even if it is a bit of a slow burn. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. One of Spielberg's greatest. And like I said, it is a very, very slow movie, but the ending is so worth it. Okay, I got to explain this one. I have the third Chronicles of Narnia on Blu-ray, but not the first two. The first two I have on digital copy on YouTube. I'm not sure why. I think they were cheaper, and I think I got this one as a gift from somebody, and then I bought the first two on Google Play because they were like $10 or less. They're having a sale on those particular two, and I already had this one. I already had the digital copy of that one, already because it came with it. One of my favorite movies ever, Chronicle. This is like the same story as the Star Wars prequels in the fact that it's like the downfall, like turning to the dark side of a guy, but it tells kind of the same story, the same idea of Star Wars prequels in an hour and a half, and with much better acting. This is Dane DeHaan's probably greatest role. I like Dane DeHaan in everything I've seen him in, but this is probably my favorite movie of his. So good, and it's a shame that Josh Trank went from doing this to that garbage Fantastic Four reboot. But according to him, that's not on him, that's on Fox, and I totally believe him when he says that, because this movie was fantastic. So hopefully he gets more work. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and yes, a lot of people are going to hate me for... I know a lot of people are asking, well, where's the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka one? I have it. Remember, these are more or less in alphabetical order. That's in the W's. That'll be at the end. I own both versions because I like them for different reasons. I like the original because the acting is better, but this one's truer to the book. So, teach their own. I have to move all these out of the way now because I've got piles and piles and piles and piles of these movies. Alright, so now we're finally getting into the D's.
E.
Dark Tower. I think this would have been better as a TV show. I still like it. I think Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey are just great in this movie. But plot-wise, it feels a little bit unfulfilling. I do think it would have been better as a TV show, because there's like 50 books in the series, and they're like 300 pages apiece. I tried to read at least most of the books when they came out, but I find Stephen King's writing style a little boring. I got through the first one just because I kind of forced myself to get through the first book, and I continued reading the second book, and I quit, like, not even halfway through the second book. I just could not do it. I'm like, I'm going to wait for the movie. And I enjoyed the movie. So, but it would have worked better had it been a TV show. And then 2 more Disney Channel movies, Descendants and Descendants 2. I love these. I'm so excited for the third one that's supposed to come out in the summer. And I'm really excited for this, for the third one. I like the fact that it's, you know, all the different Disney animated movies kind of coming together in this shared universe. At least most of them. And then 3 more of these, Divergent. And then obviously the other 2, Insurgent and Allegiant, which that one I don't know if you can tell, it has a holographic cover. I don't think you can tell in the video, but this one has a holographic slipcover. Yeah, I got the books for Christmas because I was one of those people where it was like, I'm not going to read the books, I'm just going to wait for the movies. And then they ended up canceling the rest of the movies. So I figured, okay, well, I'm never gonna find out how it ends, so I guess I'll just get the books. And so I ended up getting the books, and I'm in the middle of reading the first one right now, so hopefully it's a good ending. Despicable Me, which also has a holographic cover. I'm not sure if you can tell. But yeah, and then Despicable Me 2. I don't own the third one for some reason. I liked the third one, but I don't own it for some reason. I should probably correct that at some point. And then another Marvel movie. It's kind of a weird idea, but ended up really working. Doctor Strange. Fantastic movie. Very trippy. Definitely different than what we've seen before with Marvel. And then the only Doctor Who Blu-ray that I have, only because even though I love Doctor Who, all the episodes are on Prime. But this is the only one. I got this as a birthday gift, or a Christmas gift rather, a few years back, because this movie actually went to theaters on my birthday that year, and ended up seeing it. This is kind of when I was new to the Doctor Who fandom, so I didn't really understand a lot of what was going on in this movie, because I was only a couple of seasons into the show. I was at least, most of the way through 10. I hadn't seen any of the Smith ones yet, but I really, once I went back and watched the episodes, I went, okay, now I understand what's going on. But I watched it because I was still kind of into the Doctor Who fandom, and I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, but it's the only one I have on Blu-ray just because all the episodes are on Prime and box sets are expensive as heck. Speaking of box sets, ironically, the DreamWorks Holiday Collection. This is actually a DVD, a DVD box set. But it's got 4 Christmas specials from DreamWorks movies: Shrek the Halls, Merry Madagascar, Dragons, and Kung Fu Panda. I think that these are all good, except for Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda one's just kind of okay, but the other ones are all pretty good for the most part. And then getting to the end of these, and kind of into the next shelf, Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog, a movie that was made during the writer's strike, and it was really good. It's a kind of a parody musical superhero movie. I really enjoyed them. I thought it's a fun movie, even though it's only like 45 minutes. It's still a good little short form movie. Edge of Tomorrow, a movie that didn't get a whole lot of press when it came out, and it's good, even if it is Tom Cruise doing the same thing he does in every movie, playing the same character he plays in every movie. But it's a good action movie. It's a good action sci-fi movie that has a really good to it. It's like Groundhog Day, but in a futuristic setting. It's pretty good. One of my favorite movies to watch every year around Christmas, Elf. Everyone loves this movie, including myself. One of Disney's underrated classics that no one talks about, Emperor's New Groove. One of their best movies, and no one talks about it. No one remembers this movie. It's so funny. It's so good. Well, no one remembers it. And then we have the inferior sequel that they forced me to buy because they didn't release this one individually, but I will never watch Emperor's New Groove because I don't like it. Ender's Game. Yet another movie that I'm sad to not do well, because Harrison Ford is in it. He's really good. Ben Kingsley's in it, even though he's only in it for, I think, the last 15 minutes of the movie. But yeah, this is another one of those where I really liked the book, and I'm sad that they didn't at least continue this on as maybe a TV show or something. I'm sad this didn't do well. It was really good. And then one of the great movies, one of the great classics, E.T. This is a must-own. This is a must-watch for anybody. Fantastic movie, but I don't need to tell you that. If you're watching my channel, you've probably already seen it because you're a movie fan. If you're a movie fan, then you've seen E.T. You know what I'm talking about. And then finally in this last bunch, starting with the Fs, we have Finding Nemo. This was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Still one of my favorites now as an adult. Really, really enjoyed it. I don't own Finding Dory because I didn't like Finding Dory. So, yeah, that's why. Okay. Next little pile here. The next one on this list is, like I said, Tim Burton. Frankenweenie, the animated version of Frankenweenie. This is kind of a nice little send-up to classic 50s monster movies. So it's very nice. The fact that it's a black and white, I think, deterred a lot of kids when it came out. But it's definitely a well-made movie for a stop motion. And then this one actually has a lot of importance to me. The Gallows. As you can see, it has been autographed. That is because I personally know the directors. They live local to me. In fact, they're actually at Sundance right now. I don't know if they're talent scouting or showing stuff there or what, but yeah, they're getting a lot of success with this movie. They've already had other studios come up to them and have them make movies for them, like Lionsgate. They just made a deal with them. They just made a deal with Amazon and Netflix. But to what extent, they won't tell me. So technically this is their only movie, but they do have other things in the works. But I'm very excited for them. I wish them all the best. G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. I don't like the second one, so I don't own the second one, but I like this one. The reason the case looks like that is because this was another Blockbuster going out of business sale. But yeah, this is a really good, just corny, cheesy action film. I love it. So I know a lot of people don't, but hey, I really like it. This one is a book that I was required to read in middle school, and when I was reading this, I thought, I think that they should make a movie out of this, and Jeff Bridges should play the lead. And apparently the director thought the same thing, because Jeff Bridges, even though it's covered by the Walmart sticker, which I have never removed in the 4 years of owning this movie. Yeah, there you go. So Jeff Bridges playing together. I thought it was good, and yeah, I'm aware that it is a series, but I think it ends just fine. I don't think there needs to be sequels to this. I thought the way it ended was just fine. Next one, Godzilla. Gojira, as it's called in Japan. So yeah, this is fantastic. Full disclosure, I don't own Kong Skull Island. I need to. I need to get Kong Skull Island before King of the Monsters, which is the second Godzilla movie, before this one comes out. The second Godzilla movie comes out, because I want to go see that. But I know that they're doing another shared universe movie with these. So I'll need to get Kong Skull Island at some point. Next one, another classic 80s Spielberg kids film, The Goonies. Or I should say, kids film, because there's a lot of language and other very inappropriate lines and jokes in this movie. For a kids movie, I mean, this was 1985, so 1 year after the PG-13 rating, so I'm not sure why this didn't score a PG-13 back then. They were lax. Personally, I think this movie should be PG-13, but it's not really a kids movie, but it kind of is. The Goonies, it's a great staple of the 80s, though. The next one, Goosebumps. So good. I don't know what was up with Jack Black's accent in this movie, though. He was trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do in this movie. But yeah, it's a good send-up to the 90s era of the show and the books. It was a lot better than it needed to be. And I liked the second one, too. And I mean, if you've seen the second one, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who didn't. But if you've seen the second one, you know that there has to be a third one, or the second one was completely pointless. And then moving they do a third one. This movie I've only watched once or twice. I think this is actually my sister's movie. But it's on my shelf. So, The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think I've only seen this once or twice. And I read the book when I was in middle school, and I was forced to read the book. I actually quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie, too. It's definitely more of a visual spectacle than it is a story. The acting's really good. There's a lot of good star power behind it with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire. It is a very well-directed movie. And you can tell it's a Baz Luhrmann movie just from the visuals. It's definitely... And speaking of movies, this one I was surprised was not a Baz Luhrmann movie, because it is very much in the same style. It's kind of fitting that these are right next to each other on the Blu-ray shelf. I mean, it's because they're alphabetical order, but they're so similar in tone and style that it's kind of funny that fate kind of put them together that way. The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman, so good. The songs are really good. The story is okay. I like it. It's a good visual spectacle, kind of musical movie. It is fantastic. Same songwriters as La La Land, which I also really love. And I do have La La Land too, but like I said, this is kind of in order of where they are on the shelf, more or less, except for the times when the piles accidentally got knocked over. So I'm just kind of grabbing them as they are. The next one, another very classic 80s Spielberg movie, Gremlins, one of my personal favorites. I love to watch this every year around Christmas. And then, of course, we have the sequel, which I think the second one is better than the first one, just because of the self-aware, kind of fourth-wall-breaking humor. Some people don't care for that kind of thing because they think it takes them out of the movie. I find it hilarious. I'm a big fan of that kind of style of movie. So, you know, Airplane, that kind of stuff where it's self-aware, fourth-wall-breaking. I actually think this is the better of the two. And I'm really hoping they do a third one. I keep hearing that they are, but then I also keep hearing, oh no, they're doing a remake. Oh, but they're doing a third one. So it's like when Ghostbusters came out. It was like, it was a third one, but there's a remake, and I don't know. At some point we're going to get a Gremlins something. I'm sure, at some point, because they're remaking everything. It's nostalgia painful now. Next one, Marvel movie I thought was not going to work, and I went in with very low expectations, and it ended up being fantastic. Guardians of the Galaxy. In fact, this movie made me have my dad dig out his old leather jacket just so I could do a Star-Lord cosplay when the second one came out, which is right here, the second movie. I own this one as well, so because I kind of have to. The next one, this movie I liked when I was a kid. Watching it as an adult doesn't really hold up. I still think the first hour or so of this movie is pretty good, but then anything past like the first hour of this movie, I'm lost. Happy Feet. It's a good musical, but then everything when it gets to like the whole like environmental stuff, it loses me. By the way, fun fact: this is the same guy who directed Mad Max Fury Road. So just let that sink in for a minute, because they're two vastly different movies. And then, you're going to hate me for saying this. I own these, but I don't own the follow-up series. The Hobbit movies. But I don't own Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray, for whatever reason. And that reason is because I want to get the extended editions, but they're always really, really, really expensive. I don't know why. And every time I see them at the store, I'm like, okay, Lord of the Rings, and it's like, it's the theatrical versions. I'm like, oh, Lord of the Rings, that's really cheap, and it's like, theatrical version. I'm like, I'm not going to buy the theatrical versions. I'm going to buy the extended cuts. But I am keeping the theatrical versions of The Hobbit, though, just because they're long enough already. I don't think the extended cuts for The Hobbit were necessary, because they already diverted so much from the book in the third movie anyway. This movie's just a 3-hour battle sequence. I don't really see the need for an extended cut of any of them. This next movie, a DreamWorks movie that I forgot I had up till now, because I don't like this movie as much as I used to. Oh, I liked it when it came out, but now I'm like, yeah, it's okay. And that goodness gracious awful TV show on Netflix now, my goodness. This movie is another one where I'm like, I liked this when I was a kid, but why do I own it now? Hop. I mean, I got this for a pretty cheap price at a peddler's fair a couple years back, so it's not like I spent a ton of money on this. I bought it for a nostalgia pack, and then rewatching it, I'm like, why did I like this movie again? So, I don't know. This is one of those where I'm like, why is this in my collection? Another one where I only own the first one because I don't like the other two. Actually, that's not true. I like the third Hotel Transylvania, but I don't like the second one. And I feel like if I buy the third one, I'm going to have to buy the second one. And I don't like the second one, so I'm just going to just keep the first one and never buy the other ones. But yeah, another blockbuster going out of business sale movie. This was really, really good, actually. I quite enjoyed Hotel Transylvania. Movie that people either hate it or they love it. It's the Grinch live-action movie. And I did see the recent animated movie with Benedict Cumberbatch. I thought that one was still pretty good. It's okay. I mean, I actually prefer that one over this one. And I'm definitely going to buy it when it comes out, the animated one. So probably sometime around Christmas next year. But I mean, this is still, it's good in its own right, in its own ways. And then the greatest DreamWorks movies ever made. Those spectacles known as How to Train Your Dragon and How to Train Your Dragon 2. And considering this is a sequel to a DreamWorks movie, no less, it should not have been as good as it was. It was fantastic. And people are going to hate me for saying this, but I think this should have beaten Toy Story 3 for the Oscar. I know everyone's going to hate me for saying that, but this was so much better. I do like Toy Story 3. I do own Toy Story 3. But this is more rewatch value for me. And I'm super excited for the third one. That comes out in just a little bit over a month now. Hopefully they don't ruin it, because that seems to be the thing with like DreamWorks movies is like Shrek, where it's like the first two were really good, and then all the ones after that were just, what did they do? Why did they do this? And then the next one, another series, The Hunger Games, you know, obviously, and then after that I have, you know, Catching Fire. Why is it stuck? Why are these sticky? Catching Fire. And then, obviously, Mockingjay Part 1, Mockingjay Part 2. And I hate that they did this, but the spines for these, right? And then the spine for this one, it's like completely different. It ruins the aesthetic of it, I guess, for me. I hate that they did that with the packaging. And then this next little pile at the end of the eyes here. I'm just going to get these one at a time now because I can't reach over that far. Inception, a movie that I only watch once every couple of years, just because I like to be surprised when I watch this movie. Every time I watch it, I want to get something different, and that only happens if I'm able to watch it every couple of years. And a movie where, personally, I think Benedict Cumberbatch should have won the Oscar for this movie over Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything. I think that this was the better movie, honestly. Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game. I was rooting for him to win, but he didn't. And I'm still bitter about that to this day, even though it happened like 5 years ago. Personally, one of my favorite TV shows, which I watched it kind of just out of the blue on suggestion, and I ended up loving it from the first episode, and I'm still loving it to this day. iZombie, and I have all three. It's 4 seasons now, but for some reason only the first 3 are on Blu-ray. For some reason they have not released the 4th one on Blu-ray yet. If you haven't seen the show, it's kind of like Psych mixed with The Walking Dead. It is a weird show. It's kind of a niche show, but it's well worth the wait. Like, from the first episode, you will be hooked. I think all 4 seasons are on Netflix. So, go ahead and watch that on Netflix, like, as soon as possible. Like, as soon as you finish this video, go watch it on Netflix if you have not already done that. The next one of the lesser favorites of the MCU, The Incredible Hulk. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Incredibles, but just the first one, because I didn't like the second one, because the second one was just kind of okay. I didn't feel the need to buy the second one. This first one's already good enough for me. Then we go from Incredibles to yet another amazing Pixar movie, Inside Out. Amazing Pixar movie. And then a movie that not a lot of people enjoyed, but I enjoyed it because of the music and the star power and just everything about it. Into the Woods. I think I'm the only one in my family that likes this movie. A lot of my other family members tried to watch it and they don't really care for it. I really enjoy it though. It's a fun watch for me every once in a while. One of my favorite cartoons, and I'm so glad that they brought it back as a comic and they're bringing it back as a TV movie. Invader Zim, seasons 1 and 2, a show that was gone too soon. Super fun, clever show. And then, as much as I am on Team Cap, I do need to acknowledge that this is the one that started it all. There would not be a Captain America movie, probably, if not for this one, Iron Man. It's not that I don't like the Iron Man movies, I just don't like the Iron Man character. I do like the movies, I think they're well made, I just don't like Iron Man as a character. And this is the weaker Iron Man movie. Iron Man 2 is an okay movie. And then, I know people are going to hate me, but I actually like Iron Man 3. I know everybody kind of hates this movie or thinks it's okay. I think Iron Man 3, not the best of the 3. The first one's the best of the 3. But this is definitely a close second. And I know people are really going to just rip into me for saying that. And then this last pile over here, I know I said that with the eyes, but it turns out I actually have one more pile way over here. And I'm losing my voice because I've been doing this for almost an hour now. The J's through the L's. And I think I actually have more L's on the next shelf over. But Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. I don't own the first one for some reason. I'm probably going to get it at some point, though. But yeah, this is actually, I do prefer this one over the first one. Which, again, people are going to hate me for saying that, because the first one's a classic, and it has Robin Williams, and how dare you. But this has the better story, honestly. So, I just thought it was funny. Everybody in this movie was just, they gave it their all. Super funny, fantastic movie. And then, another animated to live-action remake duo, The Jungle Book. I do think this one is the better version, but this one's still fun. But the casting for the Jungle Book live action was just spot on. Just so perfect. Another movie that not a whole lot of people liked, and I really do like, the Jupiter Ascending. And it's from the same directors as The Matrix, so I don't know why people don't like... Okay, well, I know that people don't like Matrix 2 and 3, but as far... I mean, it's an original movie. It's not based off of a book or based off of anything else pre-existing, so it's an original movie, and it's pretty good. I do think it's not very well edited. I will say it does kind of feel like there's some stuff maybe in the story that's missing that got cut. I actually thought it was a book adaptation at first because of how loose the canon is in this movie, but I mean, and not everything about it works. I will acknowledge Eddie Redmayne is not very good in this movie. He does overact. Some of the plot elements are a little bit stupid, but it's a good sci-fi movie. As far as sci-fi movies go, it's still good. Jurassic Park, because it's a classic. I don't own Jurassic Park 2 or 3 because I don't like them, but I do own Jurassic World, and I do plan on getting Fallen Kingdom at some point. And I can still hear you hate comments typing, how dare you own this movie, and you own this movie, you own this movie. I get it. This is my opinion, though, not yours. Justice League. Again, these are, again, like I said with all the other DC movies, these are Saturday morning cartoons in live-action form. This is like watching a 2-hour episode of the Justice League TV show in live-action form, and that's exactly what I got. I really enjoy it. Is it Avengers level? No. But for a superhero movie, it's pretty good. It's just a classic superhero movie like you would have gotten in like the 90s. Another movie that nobody likes, but I do. King Arthur Legend of the Sword. I love this movie. I love the fast-paced action. I will say the first little bit of it does go by a little bit too fast, both in editing and in storytelling. But, I mean, around the half-hour mark, that's when it really starts to pick up, though. I mean, Jude Law is fantastic in this. Charlie Hunnam is fantastic in this. The score is amazing. This is one of the few movie soundtracks where I listen to the score on its own, because Daniel Pemberton is quickly becoming one of my favorite movie composers with that one, Ocean's 8, and Spider-Verse, and Man from U.N.C.L.E. Krampus, really good horror Christmas movie to watch around Christmas. Not Halloween, because it's exclusively Christmas, but it does harken back to those kind of cheesy kind of horror films from the 80s. And also the effects, for the most part, these are all practical effects like puppetry and animatronics and things like that. There's a little bit of CGI, but for the most part it's costumes, puppetry, and animatronics. And that's really good to see that in a movie that came out in 2015. Another really good animated stop-motion film that I think this was nominated for Best Animated Feature when it came out. But yeah, Kubo and the Two Strings. I love it. It's a very good legend, sort of fairy tale myth movie. Really good, really well animated, really well acted. Kung Fu Panda, but not on Blu-ray. It's on DVD because one of my relatives gave this to me a couple years back. But I do have the second one. I don't own the third one because I don't like it. You know, 3 was disappointing. After 1 and 2 were so good, 3 was disappointing. La La Land, like I said, I own it. Really good. Not a fan of the way it ended, but up to that point, it's pretty good. And then the movie that's getting a sequel in just a couple short weeks, The Lego Movie, one of my favorite animated movies. I am so ticked that this was not nominated for Best Animated Film when it came out. And they had a chance to redeem themselves by nominating this one, and they still didn't. I don't own Ninjago for some reason, even though I do like Ninjago. I just don't own it for whatever reason. But yeah, Lego Batman. I'm super excited for Lego Movie 2 to come out in just a couple short weeks. The next little batch here, Man from U.N.C.L.E., a movie that I think deserves a sequel. One of the few movies that I will say that about. I would love a sequel to this movie. The action's really fast and just fun. The acting and banter between everyone in the movie is really good. The score is fantastic. Another Daniel Pemberton score that I was praising the King Arthur movie for just a few minutes ago. And then another one of those YA trope movies that I really love, the Maze Runner series. I really love these, and I love the books. I do think the books are better, but the movies were a good attempt. I mean, it's not like Percy Jackson where they ruined it completely. So, I don't own those. So, and, another underrated Disney modern classic that doesn't get enough recognition, and nobody talks about this movie. Meet the Robinsons, one of the best written, best just overall, most emotional, most heartfelt Disney movies ever. Just so good. And it's a shame that nobody remembers this wonderful, delightful movie. Another DreamWorks movie that's kind of in the, like, okay, yeah, make a mind of it. I think it's funny. A lot of people don't really like this movie. I thought it was funny. The writing is very witty, very good. Will Ferrell is hilarious in this movie. Jonah Hill's there. Everybody in this movie is hilarious. It's a good... If you go into it thinking it's going to be like a superhero parody movie, you'll enjoy it more. I think it's not meant to be taken that seriously. I think people take it too seriously. That's the problem. Speaking of movies that people hate, that I enjoy, Minions. I can hear you all booing. I actually rather liked this movie. I thought it was fun. Does it need to be a movie? No. But I still enjoyed what they did with it. Overall, I thought it was a fantastic... well, not fantastic, but it was good, though. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was fun. It's getting late. I'm saying things I don't really mean. Another kind of cute little movie that I don't think anybody remembers. Mirror, Mirror. I actually really think this movie is kind of charming. It's a good movie. I like the Bollywood thing at the end is kind of out of nowhere. But I mean, other than that, it's kind of a fun movie. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, you know, The Princess Bride, which I do have, and I'll get to in a second. I should say in a few minutes, because it's like at the bottom of the pile here somewhere. It's like in the style of like The Princess Bride and those kind of movies that I like. And then all of the Mission Impossible movies. Although when I'm watching them, I do skip the second one, because the second one is garbage. But 1, 3, 4, and then these are all really, really good. They just keep getting better and better. So, and I recently heard that they are doing 2 more with the same director as the last couple that came back. So, the last couple movies that were made, the same director is coming back. So I'm very excited for the next few movies of Mission Impossible that come out. Keep them coming. Man of Steel. Yes, and I do own the original Christopher Reeves Superman movie, but we have not gotten to that yet. But it is on the pile. So, Man of Steel, yes, really good movie. A good start to the DC EU, despite its problems. I still thought it was good. I do agree that it is muted and the color needs to be a little bit brighter, but I thought it was good. Oh, by the way, the show Krypton on Sci-Fi, fantastic show, by the way, Krypton. I don't own it, but I've not gotten a chance to get that one yet. But I liked watching Krypton, though. Really, really good concept for a show. Another good, like, really awesome Liam Neeson action movie, Non-Stop. I was able to predict some of the ending of this movie within the first, like, 15 minutes of it, but it was still fun getting to that point. Liam Neeson, has Liam Neeson ever been bad at anything? No, he has not. Even when the movie itself is not very good, he's always really good in it. So, yeah, Non-Stop's a pretty good movie. It's like the game Mafia, or some people call it Murder in the Dark, but it's set on an airplane. Or I guess it's like Murder on the Orient Express, kind of set on an airplane too. But it's really good, actually. Oz the Great and Powerful. This is what Maleficent tried to be. I don't like Maleficent because it's a copy of Wicked, which is also kind of what this is trying to be. But it's a good movie. James Franco is honestly the good selling part for this movie. And this is the same director as the first 3 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Or say the 3 Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And James Franco says he's the best part of this movie for me. Is it the Wizard of Oz classic? No. That one's still vastly superior. But this is still a good follow-up in that universe, that world. And then these are movies that everyone really likes. Pacific Rim. My favorite movie of 2013. You can see that little holographic slipcover from slipping from Jaeger to Kaiju. Yes, such a great movie. Watch this on the biggest screen possible with the best sound system possible. And I know a lot of people don't like the second one. I do. I especially liked John Boyega. He was really good. I'd say this is on par with the first one. But if I have to just be watching either the first one or the second one, I'll choose watching the first one. But this is still kind of on par, and I am very excited. Last I heard, Netflix is doing a TV show of this in animated form, so I'm excited for that. This is coming from somebody who doesn't really like anime most of the time, but I do like... I'm excited to see if there's a third one in the works. Hopefully. Knowing Guillermo del Toro, it's a long way off, because he works on like 50 projects at a time, and most of those never get made. Like, if you go on his IMDb, he's got like 30 upcoming projects, and 99% of them don't even have release dates, and 85% of those will probably never be made. So, Peanuts movie. Very cute, charming movie from 2015. Sad it didn't get nominated for Best Animated Film. Because the animation style alone, I mean, okay, the plot is very simple. I will give it that. It doesn't really have a plot, really. It's more of just like a bunch of vignettes over an hour-and-a-half period. But, I mean, the animation style is just gorgeous. It's animated, like, it looks hand-drawn animated, but it's computer. It's a very unique look that no other movie, I think, has replicated. So I do think that this should have been nominated just for that alone. Another movie that nobody really remembers and I thought was really funny, Penguins of Madagascar. This is another one of those like spin-off movies that everyone was like, it's unnecessary, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was funny. I thought that the I can't remember the actor's name, but the octopus, I thought the octopus was hilarious. I should probably get all three of these events. This is a trilogy. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War of the Planet of the Apes. All fantastic. One of the best movie trilogies of all time, I will say. I will hold that up. I will say that those are like some of the best movie trilogies of all time. It is fantastic, especially because it's a prequel trilogy as well, and Star Wars has kind of ruined the term prequel trilogy for people, but no, it holds up. It's so good. Another kind of odd movie that I thought kind of worked, despite the weird premise. It's like Cowboys and Aliens, right? Another weird movie that was Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Kind of a weird idea. It still really worked. I thought the action was fun. Matt Smith was a good part of this movie. It's kind of a stupid, kind of cheesy movie to watch around Halloween. People are going to hate me for saying that I don't like the original version of this movie, but I prefer the remake. I find the original boring. I'm sorry. I do. I prefer the remake. Except for Sam Rockwell. He's the only bad part of this movie. Polar Express. I should have showed this one first. Polar Express. There's not a lot of plot to this movie. It's more of a motion capture show-off. This was back when motion capture was a new thing. I think this is actually the first movie to have motion capture all the way through it. That wasn't a video game. And so this was kind of like the old Disney movies, like Snow White and Cinderella, where there's not really a whole lot of plot to them, and most of the runtime is filler. Like, look what we can do with animation. So this was more of a 2-hour test run of stop motion, but it's still a good movie that I like to pop in every Christmas. Another movie that I thought got snubbed at the Oscars when this came out. Saving Mr. Banks. The only thing that this got nominated for was Best Score. And my sister and I were like, really? Score? That's all it got nominated for? No Best Actor? No Best Actress? Nothing? This is a good movie. I really like the way that these two worked off of each other. And I was really mad that it didn't get nominated for Best Picture. Kind of a stupid action movie. Pretty typical of any Dwayne Johnson movie. San Andreas. It's kind of on par with all his other ones that he's done over the last couple of years. I still enjoy it. It's fun. At least as fun as a disaster movie can be. It does still have some very serious, very dark moments in it, but overall it's kind of just a chilly, cheesy action movie. Another kind of underrated DreamWorks movie that nobody remembers outside of very few people. Rise of the Guardians. this was a good movie. Like, yeah. I don't know why nobody really remembers this movie. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, one problem is, do you watch this around Easter or Christmas? It's like Nightmare Before Christmas. Do you watch that one on Halloween or Christmas? Do you watch this one on Easter or Christmas? I don't know. One of the best movies of 2018, Ready Player One. Yes, such a good movie. And you already know my thoughts on this one, because I already gave my thoughts on this one earlier this year. But yeah, fantastic. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I know a lot of people that read the book were kind of disappointed with this. I think if the book and the movie is two separate versions of the story, like, everyone has their version of the story. I prefer. I like both. They're just separate things. One of the best movies ever, The Princess Bride, but I only have this on DVD. I should probably upgrade it to Blu-ray at some point. One of my favorites. I quote it all the time. My family quotes it all the time. Super hilarious movie. I think this is one of the movies that not a lot of people have seen. So, which is odd, because it's hilarious. It's hilarious. By the way, Once Upon a Deadpool, if you didn't get the stuff that was in between the main story with Fred Savage, that's what this was. That's what Once Upon a Deadpool was parodying, was this movie. So once you've seen that movie, which I don't know why you would go to see the movie if you haven't seen this. I mean, if you were confused by that, if you're like the two people on the planet that didn't get that joke, then maybe you should watch it. Princess and the Frog, which was supposed to be the comeback for 2D animation in the Disney house, but that obviously is not the case, because it's been 10 years since this came out, and we haven't gotten any hand-drawn full-length Disney movies, but it's still really good. It still feels like a classic Disney movie. The songs are great, the story is great, the action's great. Another movie that only me and my friend like. I've never met anyone outside of her that actually likes this movie, Suicide Squad. I think it's a fun movie. Like I said earlier with Batman Forever, I like the kind of bright neon color style of this movie. Just kind of a fun action sequence kind of movie. I guess that the story is kind of okay, but the action scenes and the way it's directed are pretty good. So, it's like me and my friend, we're the only ones who like this movie that I found. The only Star Trek movies I like, I find the other ones boring. I'm sorry, but anything outside of the 3 J.J. Abrams ones, I don't like. I only like these 3. I find the other ones boring. I've tried to watch them. I've tried to watch them, and I've tried to watch the TV show, but I can never get into it. So those are all really good. What's over here? Split. One of the best thrillers of just like, this was Shyamalan's comeback. It's like this one, Visit, and Unbreakable, and Glass. But you already know what I think about Glass, because I posted my review like yesterday. So you all know what I think about that one. So I don't need to talk about that one that much. Both SpongeBob movies. I'm hearing there's a third one that's supposed to come out, I think, next year. Hopefully it's the last one, because this show has gone on way too long. And by the way, R.I.P. to Steven Hillenburg, the creator of the show, passed away like a month ago, I want to say. These movies were my childhood. Well, the first one was. The second one was more recent, but the first one was my childhood. I watched that all the time when it came out. The Spider-Man trilogy, or I should say the Spider-Man 2-pack, because the third one doesn't exist in my mind, because I don't like the third one. But these are some of the greatest comic book movies. Well, the first 2 are some of the greatest comic book movies ever. So there's that. And the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie was actually the first superhero movie I ever watched when I was 4 years old. So, Secret Life of Pets. Story-wise, it's Toy Story with animals. But I did enjoy Kevin Hart as the bunny. He was funny. I'm excited to see the second one. It actually looks pretty funny. And then, speaking of Shyamalan a few minutes ago, another one of his, I guess, not really classics, but one of his good movies, one of his better movies, Signs. I think the ending is kind of stupid, but up to that point, it's a good thriller. I'm just now realizing I skipped the rest of the M's. I went straight from, like, Maze Runner to the N's and the S's. And I totally, from the M's to the S's, and I totally forgot about the rest of the M's. Moana, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. such a great movie, good adventure movie, good songs, everything about it is fantastic. Monsters Inc. and Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. I prefer Monsters Inc. There's definitely more heart to it. I still think this one's pretty funny though. Monsters vs. Aliens. A movie that was supposed to be a franchise that never really went anywhere. They made like this one movie, a Halloween special, and then a very, very short-lived TV show. Which is fine. I mean, the TV show idea was a cool idea, but it was just poorly executed because the animation on that show was just horrendous. It was like a $5 animation budget. But the movie itself, fantastic. Really, really good. One of DreamWorks' better movies that sadly not a lot of people remember. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. Again, this is one of those where it's like, it was cheap. I was like, I remember watching this when I was a kid. I guess I'll get it. Does it still hold up? Kinda. I do think Dustin Hoffman's really good. Natalie Portman, not so much, but Dustin Hoffman's fun to watch, and Jason Bateman's really good as not really the villain, but kind of the obstacle in the way. It is kind of like that magical Dr. Seuss style kind of world. Or I should say Willy Wonka. It's very much Willy Wonka set in a Toy Story, I should say. It's like Dr. Seuss meets Willy Wonka is how I would describe it. It's really good. It's that kind of like childhood magic kind of movie. The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. I do plan on getting more Muppet movies, but for the moment I only own these two. I know, right? I own the 2011 one, but not the original Muppet movie. And I don't own the other ones, but I want to, because I'm a huge Muppets fan. They're hard to find on Blu-ray, because of that stupid Disney Vault. But I love both of these. I know some people don't like this one. I think it's on par with this one. I prefer this one, but I still think this is a really fun movie. The songs are really good. The acting is good. It's just hilarious. They need to do a third one. Disney does not acknowledge the Muppets enough. I think there's a TV show. I think they're doing another version of the Muppet Show, but Nightmare Before Christmas. I've seen this movie more times than I can count. I can recite it line for line. Every time I watch this movie, I've seen it an estimated 500 times probably in the 10 years I've owned this movie. And then for this next section, Newsies. Pretty good musical. This is actually my sister's movie. I actually got this one for her, but I watched it. It's the same director as the High School Musical and Descendants movies, and yeah, that's not go for it. Also, you got a young Batman, and you got a young Christian Bale in this movie. This is what he was doing before he was Batman. Before he was Batman, he was selling papes to make a living. So there's that. You get to see a young Batman singing and dancing, so it's worth it just for that. Guys, I forgot a little bit of a pile over here. Lego Star Wars The Padawan Menace. It's only half an hour. But it's a good half hour. It's hilarious. If you're a fan of like all the other Lego stuff, this is worth checking out. Madagascar, all three of those movies. And Stuck for some reason, because this got sticky stuff on it. Not sure what it was, but that caused this one to get sticky. But Lorax, not one of Illumination's better movies looking back, but at the time this was a pretty good movie. I still enjoy it though. I enjoy the songs. I enjoy the visuals and everything. The message is a little heavy-handed, but it's a good movie though. Lights Out, one of my favorite horror films to watch around Halloween, because it does exactly what it needs to and then leaves. It doesn't go on for too long. It stays for just the right amount. It's a very good, creepy, what's in the dark kind of movie that plays on human fears. Very well directed horror film. Life of Pi. I watch this every year on March 14th because it's Pi Day, and it's always one of my highlights of the year. I love it every time I watch it. Very thought-provoking, very beautifully directed, very visually beautiful. Just so good. Such a great story of the movie. One of the all-time best Disney movies. If they ruin this in the live-action remake, I'm going to be so ticked. So, but it's Jon Favreau, and he did the Jungle Book live-action and the Iron Man movies, and Elf, so he's done a lot of really good movies, so don't let me down, Jon Favreau. Please do not let me down. One of the only direct-to-video Disney movies I actually like. Lion King 2. Not as good as the first one, but it's still good attempt. It's almost on par, but not quite. And then the other direct-to-video Disney movies I like are the Lilo and Stitch direct-to-video movies, direct-to-video sequels. But this only comes with the second one. As far as, when it comes with the first one, but I mean, like, sequel-wise, it only comes with the second one. It doesn't come with the one with the other aliens, or the fourth one, which is the wrap-up to the TV show. And they haven't ever released the TV show on a box set either, which is disappointing. But yeah, Lilo and Stitch, this was my obsession as a kid. This was like my Disney movie obsession. I was obsessed with this movie for a good 5 or 6 years, which is probably a lot longer than I should have been obsessed with it. The Little Mermaid, Blu-ray. I keep hearing rumors that they're doing a live-action version of this one as well, but from what I'm hearing, Lin-Manuel Miranda is supposed to be involved with it. So that gives me hope. The desk over here is a mess. So, like I said, not going to be strict alphabetical order anymore. It's just going to be whatever I pull out of the desk. So, but if it's a series, I'll try to at least show off all the series at once, if I can do that. Some of these movies have a lot in the series. So, speaking of series, Star Wars prequel trilogy. And then, you know, next on the shelf, because it's next chronologically, is Solo, which I'm disappointed didn't get as much money as it should have been. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little disappointed it didn't do very well. Thanks, internet trolls. Rogue One, which also really good. And then we have, of course, the Holy Grail of Star Wars, the original trilogy. And then we have Force Awakens and Last Jedi, which I hate the backlash to these. People need to stop trolling over these, okay? I enjoy them, and if people enjoy them, let them enjoy them. And I can already hear the comments saying you're a bad fan for liking anything other than the original trilogy. Well, you're a bad fan for trolling and making this franchise not fun to like anymore. You're part of the problem. The 1978 Superman movie. This actually has 2 cuts of the movie, I think. I think this is like the extended, yeah, this is like the extended cut and the original one. I've actually met the actor who plays the baby Superman that's in this movie, and actually he's been in every, I can't remember his name, but he's been in every Superman movie. Not Batman vs. Superman, but he's been in 1, 2, 3, 4 Returns and Man of Steel. And he's hoping that they'll do another one, so they'll call him. He lives kind of local to where I live. So that's really cool that I've met him. He was super nice, too. Super nice, down-to-earth guy. Another really good Disney movie. I mean, this one is a TV series, so people remember it now. But yeah, Tangled. Love this movie. So funny, so well written. Great characters. Love it. One of the weaker MCU films, Thor. In fact, all the Thor movies are kind of weak, except for Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is the one good Thor movie. These are okay. I like 1 better than 2, and honestly, the only good part of 2 is Loki. He's the only entertaining part of this movie. This movie's a mess, narratively. But Thor Ragnarok was the one that I think finally got it right. Because I think they saw what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy, and they just did that. So, and people are going to hate me for owning these, because most of people agree these are garbage. But all of the Transformers movies, yes, all of them, except for Bumblebee, because that's still in theaters. But I will be getting that on the day 1 Blu-ray release, though, hopefully. Tintin, a movie that desperately needs a sequel, and I've been waiting and waiting. They announced a sequel when this came out, still waiting for it. It was supposed to come out in 2014. That didn't happen. Then they said 2015. That didn't happen. Then they said 2017. Still didn't happen. And now there's no release date. So Peter Jackson, Spielberg, whoever's in charge of making these things, get to it. I'm still waiting. I want my sequel to this movie, darn it. It's like an animated version of Indiana Jones. It was fantastic. Toy Story. It's in a DVD box for some reason, but there is a Blu-ray. but for some reason it's in the DVD box. I don't know why. I bought it that way. Toy Story 2 on Blu-ray. Toy Story 3. You might think we're done with the Toy Stories. We're not. I mean, obviously, because there's a fourth one coming out, but we're not done with the Toy Story Blu-rays. I still have 2 more. Toy Story of Terror, which is a Halloween special, and then Toy Story That the Ted Forgot, which is a Christmas special. And we're getting Toy Story 4 in the summer. TV show that, for some reason, I mean, it has 3 seasons on Netflix, but they never released the other 2 seasons of the show on DVD, which is sad, because I wanted them for my collection, because I love this show, and I loved the Alien spinoff they did, Three Below, and I'm excited to see what happens in Wizards, which is supposed to come out next year, and apparently there's another season of Three Below that's supposed to come out as well, so I'm a little mad that there's no 2 or 3 on DVD, at least for now. I don't know if they do plan on releasing it. Hopefully they are. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, another movie that I like and everyone else hates. I get why they hate it, but I never watched any of the cartoons. So this was really my only... I mean, that one and like the previous 3 Jim Henson Workshop live-action Ninja Turtles that came before that, which I think those are pretty fun too, but this one does pretty good. I liked the second one better, but I don't own the second one for some reason. I should probably get it. Another movie that a lot of people just hated, except for the critics, including myself, because I thought this was a delightful movie as well, Teen Titans Go to the Movies. People just don't have a sense of humor these days with certain movies. This isn't meant to be taken seriously. It's a parody. It's meant to be like the Lego Batman movie. So if you like Lego Batman or movies of that kind, you'll like this, I think. It's kind of a self-aware oversaturation of the superhero market kind of movie. It's very self-deprecating in a good way. And Will Arnett as the villain is just... he steals the show. He's so good. Turbo, which had a TV show on Netflix, but only the first season of that show is good. I didn't care for the other seasons, but when this movie came out, I went crazy for it. Not so much now, but I still think it's pretty funny. I think Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds do work very well off of each other in this movie, even if it is just cars with snails. And speaking of Sam Jackson, I have another one of his movies, Unbreakable, which obviously Glass recently came out. You know my thoughts on that. You know my thoughts on this one. I'm not going to talk about that one, so I literally just did. Another one that's very grossly underrated. I think more people need to watch this movie. Valerian City of 1,000 Planets. Like I said with Chronicle earlier, Dane DeHaan is fantastic. I will agree, they do not have any sort of chemistry in this movie, but I enjoyed it. It's basically if Han and Leia were space cops, because they do have that kind of love-hate dynamic that Han and Leia do in the original trilogy. It's not nearly as funny as in those movies, but so it's still very visually appealing too as well. It's just kind of a fun... I think the way that the other YouTuber described it was a Taco Bell movie where there's not a lot of substance to it, and you know it's not very good for you, but you still enjoy it. Yeah, I'd say... I call them junk food movies, which I guess that is kind of the same thing. But I mean, if you are a Star Wars or Star Trek fan, but more so Star Wars, if you are a Star Wars fan, this should be required viewing, because this is actually based off of a French comic book that actually inspired George Lucas to make Star Wars. So you cannot call yourself a Star Wars fan if you don't you don't have to like the movie, but at least give it a shot. And I mean, you can even see, like, on the back of the case, that looks kind of like the Millennium Falcon. And you'll see there's a lot of similarities to Star Wars in terms of style, because Star Wars is very much inspired by this movie. Tron Legacy. I'm still hoping Disney does a third one. I love this one. I love it so much. Okay, but there needs to be a third one. I'm still waiting. Even if I have to make it. I'm hoping that I get into the film industry, mostly because I want to do a third one if Disney isn't willing to do it themselves. It's like Thanos, the end of Age of Ultron with the gauntlet. Fine, I'll do it myself. That's pretty much how I feel about Tron 3. Venom, so good. Love this movie. It's a 90s movie. No, it's kind of a 90s style movie. It's not that very. It's not meant to be taken that seriously, but if you look at it in the context of it's a 90s movie made in 2018, kind of like, made in kind of a, what were you saying? Yeah, I think it's really funny. It's a lot funnier than it had any right to be, honestly. I wasn't expecting as much comedy in this movie as there was. I still really enjoy Venom. Another Disney movie that no one likes, but I do. Tomorrowland. Rumor has it this movie is the reason that we're not getting a Tron 3 right now. Because I don't know why, though. Because it's like, from what I read, it was like they were going to use this to see if a Tron 3 would be viable, which is weird because they're not like each other at all. That's like canceling all the Marvel movies because the Star Wars movie doesn't do well. That's like Solo didn't do well. Let's cancel Avengers Endgame. That doesn't make sense. So I think they just use this as the scapegoat for another reason. But I enjoy this movie still. Even if the message is like really kind of heavy-handed. My goodness gracious. We're almost done. We're at the W's, X's, Y's, and Z's, and then the box sets. So we're almost done, thank goodness. Like I said earlier, I have both versions of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This one's called Willy Wonka. So I do have the original one. So those of you who kind of tuned out after they showed the Johnny Depp version, I do have the original. And it does come in this nifty, not steelbook, but I guess digibook, I think is the term for these. The proper term for these is a digibook. Which is weird because it's not digital, it's physical form, but that's what they're called. So, yeah, all these different facts and making ofs of the movie. Good movie. World War Z, which I keep hearing is getting a sequel, and we still don't have one yet. Fun fact about this movie, 1 month before Peter Capaldi was announced as the Doctor in Doctor Who, this movie came out, and he's in this movie as a World Health Organization doctor, and his credit is WHO doctor. So it was all there, hidden in the credits. This is kind of a fun action. It's not a zombie movie so much as it is an action movie. So it's not really one to watch around Halloween. It's just kind of a, I'm going to watch an action movie kind of film. The first critically and audience acclaimed DCEU movie, Wonder Woman. I love this movie. Really, it's really good. Chris Pine, they're all really good. It's not my favorite DC movie. My favorite DC movie is probably Suicide Squad, and I know everyone is going to hate me for saying that, but this is my favorite solo flick, I guess, of the DC movies. And I'm excited to see the second one. I'm excited to see where the story goes from there. Wreck-It Ralph, and yes, I did like the second Wreck-It Ralph movie. I actually prefer the second one over the first one. I thought the second one was better in terms of comedy. In terms of story, this one's better, but in terms of comedy, I thought the second one was a lot funnier. The second one's more of a parody of, like I said, Teen Titans Go. It's like a Teen Titans Go type of humor movie. But yeah, this one's really good, but it does have that surprise villain that all the Disney movies have to have now, and that's just kind of out of nowhere. It still holds up, though. I still enjoy watching it. It's still fun. I love it. My voice is going, because I've been talking for almost 2 hours now. All the X-Men movies... I could have sworn I had one. Where did my other X-Men set go? Oh, there it is. Under the box sets, of course. The X-Men and the Wolverine collection, which only goes up to the Wolverine. X-Men, kind of a corny movie, but it is important because it sets up everything. X2 is probably my favorite out of all the X-Men movies. My all-time favorite X-Men movie is X2, even if it is a product of the times. You can definitely tell it was made in 2002. X-Men 3 is garbage. X-Men Origins is garbage. First Class is pretty good. Wolverine's okay. And then we have Days of Future Past, which everyone's mixed on. I didn't think it was that bad. Then X-Men Apocalypse, which everyone except me hates. I thought this was good. I thought Quicksilver was really cool. I thought Psylocke was really cool. Is it my favorite X-Men movie? No, but it's still good. And James McAvoy, he's good at everything. Why he didn't win his Oscar for Split, I don't know. But yeah, this is definitely another one of his like really good roles. Even if the story is not that well written, it's still kind of a fun movie. And I'm excited to see what happens in Dark Phoenix. Hopefully it's good. My last two before I move on to the box sets. Sathura, this is Jumanji in space. It's okay. again, this is one of those movies where I saw it at like the $5 bin and was like, oh, yeah, I remember liking that when I was a kid. I'll get it. It's like, it's still good, just not as good as I remember. But it's a Jon Favreau directed movie, so it's the same guy that did Iron Man. So, if that interests you and you want to see Jumanji in space. And then finally, Zootopia. I should say finally, before I get to the box sets, my final Blu-ray, like, single set. Zootopia, one of my favorite Disney movies, probably ever. And now for the box sets. This is a DVD box set, but it's Avatar: The Last Airbender, the complete series, the only anime I actually like. I don't like Legend of Korra. I don't consider Legend of Korra canon, and I don't consider that abomination of a live-action remake canon. So, this is it for me for Avatar. And then my next box set is Star Wars: The Clone Wars. The first 5 seasons, because at the time that's all that we had. And then Season 6, which was released later. And now we're getting Season 7 on Disney's streaming service. The Harry Potter complete 8-film collection, and Stranger Things 1 and 2, seasons 1 and 2. And what's cool about these is they look like they're in VHS cassettes because it takes place in the 80s. This one slides right out to make a VHS tape. And the magnet strip up here opens up, and it reveals the Blu-ray discs. And you've got some fancy cover art in here as well. And then the second one does the same thing, but it is very poorly packaged, though, on the inside. First one, it's a bulky case. I think it's a little bit too bulky, especially for the shelf. It has as many movies on it as it does. It takes up a lot of room. I get that they were going for the nostalgia factor, but come on, folks. And this one under flaps. This doesn't have clamps. It has styrofoam. So, yeah. I use these more for decorative purposes, not so much for use, because you can't really use them. But that wraps it up for my Blu-ray collection. My voice is going now, because I've been talking for the past 2 hours almost. Hopefully you sat through the whole thing. So, I will see you, I think, when Lego Movie 2 comes out, because that's the next movie coming out. But it could be before then, who knows. I may get a video idea out of the blue like I usually do. But I will see you whenever the next video comes out.